river of Jordan, and let the cool waters cleanse my soul.
Hey, the other day I was paging through Dominic Crossan's The Historical Jesus, the life of a Mediterranean Jewish peasant. It's one of a bunch of books that I have but haven't yet read. I got to chapter 11, which is entitled John and Jesus. I've always been a bit fascinated by the relationship between John the Baptist and Jesus that's portrayed in the Gospels. I was skimming Crossan's discussion of John and Jesus when my eyes landed upon the following in the text. John, and here he means the author of the Gospel of John, never mentions a word about Jesus' baptism. With John, the baptism of Jesus is gone forever, and only the revelation about Jesus remains. I was surprised. I read it again just to be sure that I hadn't misread it. Surely, it seemed to me, the Gospel of John has Jesus being baptized by John the Baptist. I knew that while Luke's Gospel says Jesus was baptized, it does not say who baptized him. And it seems that for the author of Luke, it couldn't have been John the Baptist who did the deed, because he has the Baptist, quote, locked up in prison, unquote, prior to Jesus' baptism. Mark and Matthew have John baptizing Jesus, and I was sure the Gospel of John did, but there was Crossan saying no, so I had a look. I reread chapters 1, 2, and 3 of John's Gospel, and lo and behold, Crossan was right. Not only does the Gospel of John not say anything about John the Baptist baptizing Jesus, it says nothing about Jesus being baptized at all. In John 1:29-34, John is depicted as being given a sign that reveals to him that Jesus is, quote, the Son of God, and, quote, the one who baptizes in the Holy Spirit. But that's it. As I thought about it, though, it made perfect sense that the last of the canonical Gospels doesn't have Jesus getting baptized. As Crossan quite correctly notes in his book, quote, the Jesus tradition is clearly uneasy with the idea of John baptizing Jesus, because that seems to make John superior and Jesus sinful. We see how this uneasiness gets worked out from the earliest of the canonical Gospels, Mark, to the last of them, John. Mark's version is typically laconic. Mark 1:9, Jesus came from Nazareth in Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. Matthew's version makes it a matter of divine necessity, to which John the Baptist yields only after initially protesting. As noted earlier, Luke's Gospel barely mentions Jesus' baptism, placing John in prison before it happens, and then, in a passive voice and an almost by-the-way fashion, saying, quote, Jesus also was baptized. And then finally, John's Gospel drops Jesus' baptism out of the story entirely. One might say it goes from Jesus didn't need to be baptized to Jesus wasn't baptized at all. Of course, it's not news that the Gospels differ from one another and even contradict one another, but this particular difference is one I'd missed. And some claim that one can't learn anything from Dominic Crossan's books. Every time I look at one of his books, I learn something new. The Historical Jesus, the life of a Mediterranean Jewish peasant, has moved to the top of my books to be read pile. Check it out. Thanks.